Economy is open for investors, but it's not all about oil. There's a big services economy is here as well, and it really speaks to the broader demographic dividend when you take into account very well educated and very literate workforce. Also a very young workforce and a young consumer as well. That's one thing. But I've got to say this, heading into this summit, it's really been shrouded with a fair degree of politics and fair degree of controversy as well. Just the night before, we heard from a US conservative lobby group called United Against Nuclear Iran. Remember, this is a lobby group that is populated by some former heavy hitters under the George W. Bush administration, including the former US ambassador to the United Nations, Mr. Wallace. And they put out a statement saying this, warning international companies, and remember, UANI have drawn direct reference to this Iran investment conference in Singapore, naming it, warning international companies may find themselves inadvertently supporting terrorism. They go on to say that they are warning legal, reputational and financial risks loom large for potential investors in Iran. So that is the overlay here. They are a lobby group. That is their agenda. They have been pushing this one for quite some time. So that's the political background, which is complicated, which is difficult. And you have this narrative as well of potential snapback on sanctions. That is a risk for investors. However, on to the fundamentals. We heard a keynote presentation from the central bank governor, Valiola Saif, and he painted a very upbeat picture of the economic prospects for Iran heading into 2017. This is what he had to say.
Iran has the consumer potential of Turkey, the oil reserves of Saudi Arabia, the natural gas reserves of Russia, and the mineral reserves of Australia.
So those comments there from Iran's central bank governor Valiola Saif really speak to the fact that it's not just oil. That is the low-hanging fruit, though, it must be said. So if you are an investor, you can probably tap into the Iranian economy most quickly through oil and gas and petrochemicals. However, there is a burgeoning service sector economy. A lot of people are talking about Turkey being the analogy to Iran in the medium to longer term, and also describing Iran in terms of being a brick in the making. However, there are risks, including the politics, as I said, including the risk of snapback, and also including the typical emerging market problems that we have to deal with, including the perception of corruption and also bureaucracy, red tape, etc. I wanted to talk about the currency as well, because this is another potential issue and a stumbling block for international investors in the country, because right now we have a dual exchange rate mechanism. So in effect, what that means is that the central bank puts out their own exchange rates, and then you have another one in the broader open market. So that makes things pretty difficult for international investors. I caught up with the Director General of International Affairs at the Iranian Central Bank at the sidelines of this summit and asked him, at what point are we going to see a unified and more simple currency regime?
We have actually started to restructure the modality of the reserve management of the country. So we are now in the process. So we have actually adopted different modalities. So we are investigating, we are working out new mechanisms or whatever. So definitely at the end of the day, we will be coming up with some new solutions.
How soon do you think you can move and adopt to a unified currency system?
As far as I know, and based on the statements given by the governor, maybe shorter than 4 to 5 months' time.
All right, so Julia, Karen, a very interesting dialogue and a conversation here about possible investment opportunities, especially in the services sector, not necessarily just in oil. There are obstacles to surmount here, and the sense that I'm getting is that this is an opportunity to really stake out potential local partnerships. That's going to be very important. Local knowledge is going to be very important, as is just due diligence, really. And the way one investor characterized it to me is that a lot of these companies are talking to Iran, they're doing a recce, they're seeing how the land lies, and at this point they're not really going to commit a lot of capital, but they do want to do so in the not too distant future. So this is really about information gathering and JV building. Ladies, back to you now.
Thanks so much, Tree. It just feels like a huge step to know you're even there. I think that's the great thing. We'll speak to you later on in the show. Let's move on. Shares in banker Monte dei Paschi closed down.